soul, it's more complicated because soul is used in two different ways. Soul is used in the metaphorical sense, meaning essentially your character and your deep feelings and things of that sort. That's not going to go away. Human beings will always be like that. The other use of the soul is that it's something immaterial. And that, of course, again has a long history, but was rather clearly put by Descartes, the philosopher Descartes, who made a firm distinction between the material things happening in your brain and the immaterial things happening in the soul. And he thought they interacted in a particular part of your head, the pineal gland, which I don't think people now believe. But there are still people, including scientists, who believe that really we are a disembodied spirit who's interacting with our brains. And the astonishing hypothesis says that that's probably not true.
Why is that?
Why do we think that? Well, I think really because we know so much about atoms and molecules and nerve cells and the way the brain behaves when you look into it, that it doesn't seem very plausible that there should be something else. But on the other hand, if I had to argue with somebody, I can't produce at the moment scientific evidence which is so strong that I can say that I think the hypothesis is true. But I can produce enough evidence to make...
In the book, you took visual awareness systems. So let's talk about that as we relate it to consciousness. Tell us a little about that.
Well, if you want to approach the problem of consciousness scientifically, there are, roughly speaking, two ways. You can either look at all possible aspects of consciousness, because, of course, it takes different forms. You can be conscious of pain, consciousness of how you see things or hear things, and also complicated things like self-consciousness. So it probably takes different forms, and you could also go for the one which we would think, of course it's a matter of opinion, we would think is the one that's likely to yield the most easily to a scientific attack. And for various reasons, we chose the visual system, how we see. For example, we're very visual animals. We and the apes, and the visual input is very rich, as you can see by just looking around the world in front of you. And yet you can control it, the inputs, if you're doing experiments on people and animals. And for this reason, a very large amount of experimental work has been done on it, and that seemed to us to provide a good foundation. So that's why we chose vision. And then the problem comes is, what goes on in our heads when we see? Simple enough question, but not so easy to answer.
Now how does our vision